welcome to West Virginia. It's pouring the rain down. It rains all the time here. Welcome back again, good bodies. Or I guess maybe I should say good buddies. Today's quick clip tip is going to be on changing your string gauge of your guitar. A lot of people, they don't even look at the specs on their guitar. They just they feel like the strings are too light or too heavy, and they go up a gauge or down a gauge, and they don't think about what's going on with the guitar itself. You know, when you have, say you have medium, let's say you have, I don't know, 11s on here as your first string, 0.011 gauge, okay? And that's the specs. Let's say that's the specs for this guitar. Okay, that string gauge and those specs, well, first off, the guitar is built to allow for so much pull, so much weight. Now, each string gauge pulls a different weight on your bridge and your top and the entire guitar, the stress of the guitar, the neck relief and the neck itself. And of course, if you go up in heavier gauge, there's going to be more stress and more pull on the neck and the relief and the bridge and the braces and the top. Likewise, if you go down in gauge, there's going to be less pull on all that stuff. Your guitar was designed and built around a certain pull, a certain gauge. Now, you can look safely at your specs, and usually you can safely go up one gauge or down one. So say if this has 11s on it, by the way, welcome to West Virginia. It's pouring the rain down. It rains all the time here. Anyways, let's say this guitar has 11s and the specs indicate 11s for it. You know, you could safely go up to a 12. That would, you know, be more. It would put more pull, more stress on the entire system, and you could safely go down to a 10. Now, if you go any more than that in either direction, you're probably going to have to reset your entire setup. You're going to have to set your relief over again, and several things there that, you know, if you go like from an 11 up to a 13, that's a considerable amount more stress on the entire system. And you got to account for that. You know, you can actually, I've seen it many times, pull a guitar apart by having too heavy of strings on it. And, you know, we're asking that guitar to hold that weight all of the time, basically. Even when you're not thinking about it, or you don't have the guitar in your hand, wherever it is, in the case, in the corner, in the stand, hanging on the wall, that stress is always pulling on that guitar. So if you move up from an 11 to, say, a 13, you might want to consider that. You know, some guitars will hold it, some won't. I'm sure you've all been playing at one point and break a string. And when that string breaks, on a lot of guitars, the other strings will go sharp. Reason being because when that string breaks, the amount of pull that one string provides is instantly removed. And all the other strings, you know, change because, say like your neck relief and the stress and everything on your neck is going to pull relief out of it. I'm not explaining that very well, but I think you get the point. Some guitars are worse at this than others. Some of them you can break a string on and it doesn't go out of tune. The strings that remain stay in tune. But most of them, they'll go sharp a little bit, and that's because of that amount of the string that broke, that amount of pull of poundage, however much it is, has been released and put on the other strings that are still on there, which makes them go sharp because the guitar is responding to that change. So likewise, when you move up in gauge or down in gauge, pay attention to your specs. You can find them on the internet. Google your guitar, the maker, the model number, and you know, a lot of really cheap guitars, you can't even find specs on those. So just be careful with putting a very heavy string on a guitar like that. But if it's a halfway decent guitar, you'll find the specs online, and you can safely stay within what they recommend. Some of the, like a medium to heavy, will pull as much as nearly 200 pounds of pull on this bridge and on your braces and on your top and all, you know, the whole system there again, your neck relief and the neck joint, everything. That stress is on all of that stuff, okay? Keep that in mind when you move up, especially when you move up in bigger gauge. heavier gauge. Moving down is not so much of an issue because you're putting less stress on the guitar. Now there again, like I say, if you go more than one, say if it's the specs call for an 11 and you go down to say a 9, you're probably going to have to reset your neck relief. It's not going to pull as much with those 9s as it did with 11s. There's not going to be as much string pull, as much weight right here. So more than likely you're going to have to adjust more relief into the neck because it's not being pulled in there by the strings. So there's less stress with a littler string. Same works in the opposite direction. If you put heavy strings on, it's going to pull more relief into the neck. Probably going to have to tighten the truss rod a little bit if you go like from an 11 to a 13. But just be aware that your guitar is built around what is in those specs, and you don't want to go very much over that or very much under it because the guitar will not perform the way it was built to perform if you go that far in string gauges. Very important. And like I was talking about those power pins, several people in the comments said nothing changed. Well, I'm sorry my friend, everything changes. If you have a set of strings that's pulling 180 pounds from the bottom inside the guitar, and you put power pins on, yes, I know they mount from the inside, and the newer one's got a plate that go in there and all this crap. The end of the string, though, is not down in there anymore. The end of the string is up here on top of the guitar, and that changes the direction all of that weight is being pulled in. It's the same amount of weight, it's being pulled at a different direction. Even though those power pins go down in there and they screw on and all this crap that comes with them, you're still changing the way that the pull is being on that bridge. Well, we're getting off subject. That's another video. Maybe I'll make one about that if you guys want to get into it about power pins. Anyways, cheers. I hope that saves your guitar from being pulled apart and makes your life a little bit easier and better for you and your guitar. Cheers. I'll see you on the next quick clip tip. Say it 10 times fast. Do it.